The city wears two faces. By day, it's loud, crowded, alive with energy. But by night, it becomes something else. A darker, quieter, and more dangerous version of itself. Clara knew that. Everyone who lived in the city did. But life doesn't always wait for daylight. Bills, groceries, late hours at work, they push people out into the night. And on this night, it pushed Clara toward a small glass ATM booth at the corner of King Street. Clara wasn't careless. She was cautious by nature. Friends called her the Worrier. She carried pepper spray in her bag, locked her doors twice before bed, and avoided talking to strangers. She wasn't reckless, but she was tired. That day, Clara had worked a double shift. She was an assistant nurse at a small clinic. Low pay, long hours, but she loved caring for people. By the time she clocked out, it was past 10:30. She picked up groceries, stopped at the pharmacy, and started the walk home. But she remembered rent was due tomorrow. She needed cash. The ATM was on her route. She told herself it would take just 2 minutes. In and out, then home, then sleep. She had no idea those 2 minutes would be her last. At 11:47 p.m., Clara stepped into the ATM booth. The bright fluorescent lights buzzed above her. The glass walls reflected her tired face, multiplying it into ghostly doubles. She set her grocery bag down, pulled out her card, and began her transaction. The camera above captured it all, every motion, every gesture. But the camera would not save her, because less than an hour later, Clara would be dead. Her body found dumped in an alley 3 streets away, and when investigators demanded the surveillance footage, the bank claimed there was nothing to see. Technical failure, they said, but one man knew better. Joseph, the night security guard. Joseph had worked that bank for nearly 15 years. His life was simple, almost invisible. Every night, he sat in the control room, a cramped space filled with screens, wires, and the low hum of electronics. He wasn't a brave man. He wasn't a hero, but he was observant. He noticed details. He kept track of patterns. And that night, he noticed something that no one else would ever admit to seeing. At 11:47, Joseph saw Clara enter the booth. At 11:49, a tall man in a hooded sweatshirt appeared outside. Joseph frowned. The man didn't approach the machine. He didn't stand in line. He just lingered. His posture was wrong, too stiff, too patient. Joseph leaned closer to the screen. The man's face was hidden in the shadows of the hood. But Joseph could feel it. The man was watching her. At 11:50, the hooded figure moved. He reached for the booth door, cracked open, and then static. The screen went black. Joseph swore under his breath. He hit the controls, tried other angles. But the booth feed was gone. Cut. When it flickered back to life, the booth was empty. Clara was gone, and so was the man. The next morning, Joseph heard the news. A woman's body had been discovered in an alley nearby. Her name was Clara, the same woman he'd watched on the feed. His heart sank. He knew the cameras had caught her last moments. He knew the footage existed. But when he told his supervisor, the man's face hardened. "Don't ever mention this again," he said. Flat, cold, final. Joseph understood. The bank wanted this buried. Days passed, but Joseph couldn't sleep. He kept replaying that night in his head. The way the man stood there, waiting. The way the feed cut the exact second the door opened. It wasn't random. Someone controlled it. Someone who knew exactly when to shut the eyes of the cameras. And that thought chilled him, because it meant the man wasn't just targeting Clara. He was targeting the system itself. The police came once, briefly. They asked routine questions. But when Joseph mentioned the feed, the officer only shrugged. "The bank says it was a malfunction," he replied. Nothing we can do without evidence. Evidence. Joseph almost laughed. The evidence had been erased. 2 nights later, Joseph sat in the control room again. The monitors glowed in the dark, their hum filling the silence. He tried to focus on the other screens, on the parking lot, on the lobby, but his eyes kept drifting back to the ATM booth. At 11:47, the booth was empty. At 11:50, still empty. For a moment, Joseph felt relief. Maybe it was over. But then, at 11:57, the hooded man appeared again. Joseph's stomach twisted. Same hoodie, same posture. He wasn't using the ATM. He wasn't moving at all. He was staring into the booth. An empty booth. Then, slowly, he turned his head and stared directly into the camera. Joseph froze. His pulse hammered in his ears. It was impossible, cameras weren't windows. The man couldn't see him, but Joseph felt it. The man was watching him. Not Clara, not the booth, him. And then, static. The feed vanished again. Joseph stumbled back from the desk. His chest heaved. His hands trembled. This wasn't a malfunction. It wasn't coincidence. The man knew the system. The man controlled it. And somehow, the man knew Joseph. The next morning, Joseph's access card didn't work. The locks had been changed. His supervisor avoided his eyes. "You're being transferred," he said flatly. "Effective immediately." Joseph left, but the questions didn't. Why Clara? Why him? Why erase the truth? Weeks turned into months. Clara's murder faded from the headlines. The police never found a suspect. The public forgot. But Joseph didn't. The man in the hoodie haunted him. He appeared in dreams, at the edge of Joseph's vision, in the corner of dark streets. Sometimes Joseph would wake in the night, certain someone was standing in his living room, watching, waiting. The truth remains buried. Maybe the bank covered it up to protect itself from scandal. Maybe the man was a predator who knew how to blind cameras. Or maybe it was something else entirely. All that's left is the silence of Clara's final moments, and the chilling thought that sometimes cameras don't fail. They choose not to see. So the next time you step into an ATM booth late at night, look around. Check the glass. Listen to the buzz of the lights, and ask yourself, if something were to happen, would the camera really protect you, or would it turn away?